A warm welcome to everyone joining us from all over the world, from Most in the Czech Republic, for the first race of the Twingo Cup this weekend. We are back on track with this amazing championship, the second of 4 rounds in the 2026 season, and the fight is on. Everyone with their eyes on Nick Stefancic, who took both wins at the Slovakia Ring in the opening weekend of the season, and everyone will be trying to figure out how to beat him here in Most. We're ready for the opening race. I am Daniel Espadi, your commentator for this weekend, and we are getting ready to see who will come out on top in this first race. As always, the Twingo Cup having both races on a Sunday, with the 15 cars getting ready to start from the starting grid. And here is our lovely little Twingos getting ready to set the track ablaze for what is the opening race of this weekend. Thomas Schmidt will start on pole position. The opportunity is open given the absence of Nick Stefancic, and therefore they can fight for this incredible opportunity. Thomas Schmidt, as I said, will be on pole. Mattias Kuchera on second position, Pavel Fabri in third, and then Giacomo Pegazzano, the Italian, in fourth position. Oliver Šteiner in fifth, Lukasz Hulik in sixth position, David Toff in seventh, ahead of Maruška Babrova, Oliver Zajc and Dylan Stebler in the top 10. Then we have Thomas Kunc, Peter Draus, Ivana Zvikovska, Martin Toth, and then last but not least, Sylvie Jablonska, rounding out the grid for what is definitely an exciting day of racing for the Twingo Cup. We're here in Most for what is the second round of the season. A track that, of course, needs no introduction. It is a special circuit, especially for Central European Championship, such as the Twingo Cup, who follows along the Clio Cup Bohemia this season in 4 of those 7 rounds of the bigger championship, which is present this weekend. We saw race 1 on Saturday. We will be witnessing race 2 later today, as now the drivers get ready for what is the formation lap of this race. Here we go with the little Twingos going around, getting ready and getting a taste of what is, for the first time, this circuit in racing conditions. A track long 4.2 kilometers with 21 corners. A circuit that has a long tradition of touring car racing. Naturally, the Twingo Cup being sort of the predecessor of the touring cars that we will be seeing later this day as well. It is naturally a smaller version of a touring inspired piece of machinery, but as I said, plenty of TCR championships coming in Most as one of their prime dates on the calendar. TCR Eastern Europe, of course, being here ever since 2022 and is present this weekend as well with the fight for the championship. We also had the WTCR race of Slovakia back in 2021. Right after that, it was the race of the Czech Republic here in Most. Such a incredible spectacle, of course, with the very best drivers of the world present on this circuit. Naturally, then, we now set our eyes on our beloved Twingos as they make their way towards the central section of the circuit. Here they are. It's already the final sector of the race, as they now move towards the final couple of corners. It will be very interesting to see what the strategy will be, especially for pole sitter Thomas Schmidt. We know that the slipstream is so powerful in these cars, and therefore being at the top of the pile, not always the best possible opportunity and the best possible place to be in at the start of the race. It's definitely the best one to be in at the end, which is what Thomas Schmidt and the rest of the 15 drivers on the starting grid today will hope. Matthias Kuchera, on the other hand, looking to maybe take away that pole position from Schmidt. It was very interesting to see qualifying. It was starting to rain on Saturday when the drivers were out. Therefore, the different times were a bit spreaded across the table, which is why we had quite big gaps between the various drivers, with Thomas Schmidt doing the best job he could to move into first place and take pole position for this opening race. He's already close to his starting grid slot. Let's not forget, this is a starting procedure for a standing start, which is also exciting to see, especially in these cars. And now, as we see, car number 21 of Sylwia Jablonska, the final one of the 15 drivers ready to begin their adventure here in Most. The second round of the season. The door is open in the championship after Nick Stefancic won the first 2 races, but isn't here racing in Most. So, Thomas Schmidt on pole position, Matthias Kuchera in second, and then it's Fabri, Pegazzano, Šteiner, and all the other drivers as the lights turn off and we are underway racing in the Twingo Cup for race number 1. A great getaway for Thomas Schmidt, who is still in first position. Perfect job from him as the car number 18 now moves towards turn number 1 unchallenged, which is not the same for Matthias Kuchera as he has to defend. They go 4 wide into turn number 1, but Kuchera is able to outbrake his rivals and stay in second position. Pavel Fabri and Giacomo Pegazzano fighting for the final step on the podium together with Lukas Hulik and Oliver Šteiner, the two having a great start so far in this race. As you can see now, the drivers moving towards the final section of the first sector, and now Kuchera under attack from Pavel Fabri. Pegazzano right behind him in 4th position, and then it's Lukas Hulik trying to attack for 5th, as now we saw Fabri not having the best of exits, maybe even an issue for him as he drops down the order. He's lost at least 4 positions on the exit of turn 10. Yeah, that must be an issue because he's going very slowly indeed towards now turn number 13. But look at the gap that Thomas Schmidt has over the rest of the field. The Swiss driver flying away in this opening section of the race. As he had the best start out of everyone. And the fight now is just for second position, with Matthias Kuchera in the green Twingo just in front of Giacomo Pegazzano, and behind him is car number 16 of Oliver Šteiner, and then Lukas Hulik, the Czech home hero, in car number 4 in 5th position. As now we go side by side for second between Fabri and Kuchera. Fabri to the end, sorry, it's Pegazzano, the Italian, moving into second, as Giacomo now overtakes Matthias Kuchera and moves into the prime spot to go and attack and go hunt Thomas Schmidt, though of course the Swiss driver has had a terrific first lap and he already has 3.5 seconds over the rest of the field, as meanwhile Matthias Kuchera is looking to the inside. He dives up the inside of Pegazzano. A fantastic move on the braking. You can see how his car squirms in the change of direction, but that was phenomenal from Matthias Kuchera as the Czech sets the crowd on fire with this overtake as he moves into second position. But now Pegazzano comes back at him with a better exit out of turn 2, and the Italian is once again through for second position. Great fight between the two of them, as now Pegazzano is forced to stay behind. Shame really for him, as he looked to have retaken second position, but Pegazzano was able to get back in front once more with a great exit from turn number 2. Now the driver is going towards turn number 13, very delicate part of the circuit. You can see the cars leaning on the left-hand side with all the weight transferring to the left-hand side of the car, with the tires being loaded with the entire weight of the car, trying to play with the limit with that very dangerous gravel trap on the outside. As now we see the pack racing towards the final sector. Here is car number 10 of Dylan Stebler, the other Swiss driver present on the starting grid, the other of course being Thomas Schmidt in the lead of the race. Meanwhile, this is the poker of cars between 2nd and 5th. Giacomo Pegazzano, Matthias Kuchera, Oliver Šteiner and Lukas Hulik. This is instead an overtake for Davidov on Maruška Vavrova as the Hungarian gets through and is up into 6th position. Maruška instead drops down to 7th. Meanwhile, here is another overtake, this time Lukas Hulik on Oliver Šteiner. That was a great overtake for him as he moves into 4th position, though that may change once we get to the braking zone as Šteiner outbrakes his rival and retakes 4th place. That was a very good move from Oliver Šteiner, confident on the braking, whereas Hulik was a bit lagging behind in the braking zone. Matthias Kuchera in front with the green car, also very menacingly watching Giacomo Pegazzano, though that move did not materialize into anything as he now stays behind for yet another lap. Here instead is Lukas Hulik into turn 10, looking at Oliver Šteiner. Fight between the Czech and the Slovakian driver, the latter being in front at the moment in the white car. So Czech drivers currently in positions 3 and 5 in their home race. Of course, they will be elated to step onto the podium should they manage to do so. That would be a great achievement, naturally. As now we have another attack, this time from Šteiner on Matthias Kuchera, who has lost quite a bit of time in the second sector, it has to be said. So car number 20 now struggling a bit through these corners. Meanwhile, there's also Lukas Hulik in the grey car being very close to what could be an actual overtake. Meanwhile, yellow flag up out in front as the drivers go 3 wide towards the penultimate corner, and it is Lukas Hulik on the outside. Can he make the move stick? Yes, he can. What a move from the Czech driver up into 3rd position, as now Kuchera is left fighting with Oliver Šteiner for 4th. The two go side by side throughout the final corner of the racetrack, though watching Hulik from a distance as the latter has completely obliterated them and moved into 3rd position with a stellar double overtake. That was phenomenal stuff from Hulik, but the fight's not over yet, with Kuchera now towards the braking zone, try to outbrake his rival, sticks his nose in up the inside into the opening corner, but there's no way through, unfortunately, so he has to stay behind. Now tucks in the slipstream once more. Can he be able to make the move on Oliver Šteiner for 4th? The answer looks to be no, as in the meantime Thomas Schmidt, not chased by the cameras and not chased by anyone, as he has set the fastest lap of the race, a 2:16.4, only 2/10 quicker than Giacomo Pegazzano, however. Meanwhile, here is another fight with Peter Drahos in car number 3, going through on, I think that was Paolo Fabri. So fights all over the place in this opening Twingo Cup Series race, the first one of the weekend. These opening 9 minutes were very exciting, plenty of battles, as we also see now between Maruška Vavrova and Toth. Meanwhile, back in the fight for third place. I mean, Kuchera doesn't look to have the pace in the middle sector as he gets dropped by Šteiner, who is now glued to the back of Lukáš Hulik, the Slovakian, once again on the back of the Czech driver, looking to make a move as he gets settled in his car. He seems to be more and more confident in his rhythm, and now darts to the inside. Can he make the move stick towards the penultimate corner? Yes. Hulik doesn't really challenge it too much, goes actually a bit wide, and now gifts Kuchera the chance of going through, and he takes it at the first time of asking. Therefore, Matthias is now through into fourth, but we've seen him struggle with straight line speed, so he might be once again under pressure, though he is super close to the back of Šteiner. Can Kuchera make the move? It was the same two drivers fighting for fourth a lap ago into turn one. Now they're fighting for the final step on the podium. Through goes Kuchera, and that is a very tidy move as well, also not compromising the exit, which is something that Šteiner has done on the other hand, which enables Lukáš Hulik to go on the attack. Meanwhile, Pavel Fabri keeps having some issues as he is now attacked by Oliver Zajc after being overtaken by Peter Drahos. Drahos now looks to the inside of Thomas Kunk as well, as Drahos is finally able to go through in the only black car of this quartet, and he is now up into 9th position. Up top, Thomas Schmidt has a 4.8 second gap on Giacomo Pegazzano, who's doing kind of a race of his own, really. He is faster than the guys behind, but slower than the only one in front of him. So he is currently holding down on 2nd position. It's still quite a brilliant performance from him as he looks to secure a podium finish. Behind them, naturally, there's this huge fight, three-way scrap for third place. Matthias Kuchera just ahead of Lukáš Hulik and Oliver Šteiner. The three of them exchanging places throughout the lap. As now one of them goes wide, and that is Lukáš Hulik, just clipping the gravel on the outside of turn number 19. This leaves him vulnerable to the attacks of Šteiner, who goes around the outside into turn 20, also clipping the gravel on his way through, as the two go side by side on the last corner as well. I think Hulik might be through again, but we cut to another fight, this time between Maruška Vavrova and David Toth, with Diana Stebler behind them as well, as now we race once more towards turn number 1. This is a great fight between Kuchera, Hulik and Šteiner. Šteiner now looks to the outside in the white car, outbraking Hulik. Can he make the corner? Yes, he can, though. You can see how squirmy the car is in the direction change, which will help Hulik having a good exit. This, of course, is helping Kuchera defend that position, but as you can see, he is not the quickest on a straight line, now attacked by not just one but two cars almost, as Oliver Šteiner goes through quite easily, and Kuchera has to settle behind. Maybe some engine issues as well, because that was quite obvious to see, but a bit of a mistake now for Šteiner as he clips the gravel and has to cut the entirety of turn number 9, rejoining into turn number 10, but that has damaged his chances of a podium finish, as he's now dropped into third place, giving plenty of room, as you can see on the top of the screen, to both Hulik and Kuchera. That is not what he wanted for sure, as he's now dropped into 5th place, quite far from both Kuchera and Hulik. As now Kuchera looks to the inside, maybe going up for a move under the Orlen Bridge into turn 15, and that is a job well done from Kuchera. But you get the feeling that Hulik just knows that he can't lose any more time with these fights, so just lets him through before re-attacking him, maybe already towards turn number 19, as the two go side by side for what feels like the 11th time in the past 3 laps, as now Hulik tries it around the outside but has to back out of it. Kuchera running his own line and keeping 3rd place. This is a lovely scrap for the final step of the podium that has kept us glued to our seats for the first 40 minutes of racing. And here you can see the huge difference in straight line speed as Hulik goes through into 3rd once again. Can Kuchera maybe take something out of the hat into turn number 1? He will certainly try to do so as he goes to the inside and then prepares the exit of turn number 2 as he retakes 3rd place away from Hulik. This is meantime the group that is fighting for 10th position. Thomas Kung in front of everyone, as now Peter Drahos has dropped to 12 but is now on the attack on Oliver Zajc and on Kung. The 3 almost go 3 wide towards turn number 1 with Zajc to the inside as he outbreaks the rest of the field to take 10th away from Kung. Meanwhile, behind there's also Pablo Fabri. Who knows what happened to him? He was up there in 2nd position fighting for a podium in the opening 2 laps before an issue with his car saw him drop consistently outside of the top 10, and he's now lapping quite slowly as well compared to the guys in front. Speaking of the guys in front, Thomas Schmidt has a big gap over Giacomo Pegazzano, 6.4 seconds. The difference between the two of them in the previous lap was 9/10, and here you can see exactly what I meant as we see the race leader go through on a lapped car towards the penultimate corner. You can see Thomas completely unfazed by it and by the rest of the competition. With now 9 minutes left on the clock, the pole sitter really looks to be in a class of his own in Most. He just seems to have understood perfectly how to drive this car, having nailed the rhythm that he has to settle in. Meanwhile, we check in on the fight for 6th position as David Toth is behind Dylan Stebler and Maruszka Wawrowa, with Oliver Šteiner having dropped all the way down to 8th on this lap, as now car number 10 completely misses its braking point, and that was Dylan Stebler who was trying to overtake Wawrowa, but she did a good job defending, and Stebler had to risk it up the inside with a very late braking point, which unfortunately did not work out for him as he now rejoins the circuit, but is sure to give way to the girl behind him. Meanwhile, once again, Peter Drahos losing a bit of time in the middle sector, dropping to 13th position, but now counter-attacking Pablo Fabri for 12th and going through. Speaking of going through, Wawrowa is overtaking Dylan Stebler after the latter missed his braking point into turn 1. That was very intelligent from the Swiss driver, making sure that Wawrowa retook the place that was rightfully hers. In the fight for 3rd place, Lukasz Hulik is still in front of Matthias Kuchera, but the gap is, as you can see, less than a second. Though now Hulik is starting to maybe stretch it out a bit more, trying desperately to secure this podium, though Kuchera has fought tooth and nail to keep it and keep his rival behind him, with now a lapped car in between the two of them. But here is Hulik settling in these final 6.5 minutes with the podium within reach. He's too far away from Giacomo Pegazzano to hope for second without a mistake from the Italian, that is. The gap basically 10 seconds between the two of them. Meanwhile, Pegazzano is only 7 seconds behind Thomas Schmidt, though that has been something impossible to outturn today. Meanwhile, the fight for 10th still goes on very strong. Thomas Kunk and Olivier Zeik now chased by the cameras in 10th and 11th. Behind, coming in as a rocket, is Peter Drahos, who had a great exit of the final corner and is now on the attack over Zeik. Can he take 11th away from his rival? Maybe even go and attack the guy in front. He thinks better of it. He's still side by side though with Zeik as the latter tries to stay in front. The outside of turn 1 will turn into the inside into turn 2, and that is a lovely defensive move from Olivier Zeik, keeping that second position. As he is now once more in front of the black car of Peter Drahos. Championship completely sponsored by the F4 CEZ Academy, as of course the best drivers from the season will go on and eventually contend and contest for the title in F4 CEZ next year, hopefully for them. This is kind of a stepping stone for them as they get out of karting and they want to try tin top racing. As now you see Zeik going on the attack on Kunk, but that fails to materialize. Meanwhile, the fight for third has now reignited once more as Kuchera goes for the over and under on Hulik, taking third with just 4 minutes to go. There's likely 2 more laps, perhaps even 3 if race leader Thomas Schmidt is quick enough. But through goes Peter Hulik once more. The two, however, go side by side towards turn number 1. Hulik to the inside, Kuchera to the outside, though of course that becomes the inside into turn 2 and he takes the position. But a phenomenal switch back from Lukasz Hulik sees the Czech once more into third. The fight between the two compatriots raging on as we have a spinner, and that is Maruszka Wawrowa from 5th position. Such a shame for her, though she's very good at restarting her race. She had dipped the rear wheels onto the gravel, but thankfully she was able to rejoin the race, though of course she has lost plenty of time with that spin and she's lost the possibility of fighting for 5th position. Now it's Hulik versus Kuchera once again in what is likely the penultimate lap of the race. Thomas Schmidt is about to enter the final sector and then begin the final turn of this race. As you can see now, Kuchera under the Olin Bridge, looking desperately at the back end of Lukasz Hulik's Twingo. Let's see what the strategy will be from Kuchera as well, now that we are nearing the start of the final lap, as he wants to have none of it and go to the inside. But that's a very good defensive move from Lukasz Hulik. You know that it's 99% sure that whoever leaves the final corner of the final lap in front will take the place, even though there's a bit of a drag race towards the start finish straight as we now go into the final, what should be the final lap, with Matthias Kuchera now taking the slipstream, almost forcing the hand of his rival to go to the inside, almost touching the rear left of Lukas Hulik, trying very hard and very desperately to outbrake his rival, though he's done a bit too much here and goes into the gravel trap, and unfortunately that is the end of their fight. Can Kuchera make it back onto the circuit? Yes, he can, but yeah, he's unfortunately overdone it just a little bit, which is why he has now dropped outside of contention for that elusive podium. Meanwhile, there's an investigation going on between an incident between Dylan Štebler and Maruška Vavrova, so maybe contact that spun the Czech out of contention for 5th place, which currently belongs to David Toth. Meanwhile, we also saw a brilliant overtake from Pavel Fabry on Oliver Zeich. But now, as the clock is nearing the end, we're also getting ready to celebrate Thomas Schmidt. A phenomenal job from the Swissman. He has been absolutely phenomenal today. Just no one could really channel his energy and challenge his brilliance as he now rounds out the final corner just as the clock strikes 0. It has been a phenomenal performance from Thomas Schmidt, who weaves across the finish line as he takes victory in race number 1 of the Twingo Cup series here in Most. A phenomenal performance from the Swiss driver, who will celebrate his first win of the season in front of Giacomo Pagazzano. The Italian can be very satisfied with 2nd position here, as the fight for 3rd, which has entertained us from start to finish, eventually goes to Lukas Hulik, as the Czech Republic has something to celebrate from this race. 3rd place for their home hero, just in front of Matthias Kuchera, who had to settle for 4th. He defended tooth and nail throughout the entire race. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't enough for him to clinch the podium. Meanwhile, almost a drag race behind, as 5th place belongs to Oliver Šteiner in front of Dylan Štebler, Martin Toth, and the other driver of the Toth family, David, in 8th position. Then in 9th, it's Maruška Vavrova after that spin. Such a shame for her. She was fighting for 5th position up until a couple of laps ago. And then we will see who gets 10th, and that will be Oliver Zeich, just in front of Peter Draus by only 37 thousandths of a second. A very thrilling finish to what is essentially the start of this weekend for Twingo Cup. The first race giving us plenty of emotions, with Thomas Schmidt taking home the win in dominant fashion here on the streets of Most. Giacomo Pagazzano finished in 2nd. The Italian can be very happy with his performance as well. There was no way he would catch Schmidt today, but still a great performance indeed from the Italian, who is racing this season in the Twingo Cup. And then 3rd place for Lukas Hulik, who did a great job to clinch the podium. But the cameras, of course, and the attention goes on to Thomas Schmidt, the race winner for this opening race of round 2 of the Twingo Cup series. Here are the final results: Thomas Schmidt, Giacomo Pagazzano, and Lukas Hulik, the top 3. Then Matthias Kuchera, Oliver Šteiner, Dylan Štebler, Martin Toth, David Toth, Maruška Vavrova, and then Pavel Fabry, rounding out the top 10. Here are the other 5 drivers, and with the final race classification, that is everything from us for the opening race of the Twingo Cup series. The 2nd race is scheduled to begin later today to round out the program of this incredible Sunday, as the 2nd race will start at 3:55 p.m. local time. Thank you for being with us, and see you guys next time.